anger is still an attachment. You know, if you're like, I hate this person, right? They're a piece of shit. They're my enemy. Well, then you're still attached to them in some way, and they're taking up some of your emotional energy. And that's extra baggage you just don't need to carry. All right, so day 2, morning motivations. Now look, I'm not really sure how long this battery is gonna last, so I'm gonna try to crank this out as quick as possible, but still keep it, keep it short and brief, but also keep it valuable. I think we all experience people in our lives at some point or another that feel like they're just not good for us. You know, like they're toxic, you know, that they pull us down in some way, shape, or form, that they make us feel less than we are, or they abuse us in some way, whether that be physically, emotionally, mentally. Like, it's people that kind of drag us down in life. And it's not that you should always try to avoid these types of people, because I think you could learn very valuable lessons from being around people who just don't seem to have their shit together, or just seem to have like devious intentions, and they just want to latch on to people and bring them down to a lower frequency. But it's important that you learn the lessons from these people and you build yourself some emotional callus and emotional resilience, because it can help you navigate the world and learn to identify these types much, much easier. So unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect society to where we're able to just say, hey, fuck it, you know, I'm not going to be around anybody who's got bad intentions. It's just hard, especially in today's age where it just seems like everything in terms of, you know, the world financially and globally and politically and societally, it just feels like a lot of things are just a little bit turbulent. So it puts people on edge, you know, it puts people into selfish mindsets, because you start to scramble over things like resources. You start to be, you know, concerned. And that's why they found so many linkages between like poverty and violence. Because when people have their securities threatened in some way, shape, or form, they tend to get violent. They can't think straight, right? If you look at Maslow's little hierarchy of needs, you know, like physical safety and security is on the foundational level. And people can experience turbulence, and people can experience a lack of safety, even on an emotional level too. And that's where some of these toxic types usually land, because the selfish types, for some reason, end up getting ahead in life. I don't know why that is exactly. Maybe they're just arrogant, and maybe they just keep stepping on people, and maybe they don't have a good conscience in their heads. And maybe it makes it much easier for them to just navigate the market because they're a little apathetic in some ways and selfish. However, these people are damaged emotionally in some way. You know, these people are dealing with some sort of emotional lack of security. These people feel threatened. You know, these people, you know, they're dealing with their own problems. So as much as I want to try to say these people are bad people, I don't think that's the case. I never think it's that simple. I think people just have, sometimes people have they just feel threatened. You know, sometimes people feel like they're backed into corners. Sometimes people feel like the world's against them. Maybe you don't know how these people grew up, you know? So, but what is important is that you learn to identify these people very early on, because hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. And you want to get the extra baggage out of your life as soon as possible after you've learned to identify these types. You know, after you've learned that, you know, the toxic narcissists that may populate your life, the people that only have their own interests in mind, they have greed, envy, resentment, they're just full of negative emotions. You want to make sure that you stay far away from these people when you're trying to pursue your own goals, because they never have your best intentions in mind, they have theirs. And like I said, they're not bad people necessarily. There is evil people out there. I'm not saying that there isn't, but I'm not saying these people are necessarily all bad. You know, they may just be dealing with some shit in their life, but you can't deal with that extra baggage, especially when you got shit in your life to do and shit in your life to accomplish. So I think my main message today is just find the extra baggage. Find the people in your life that you feel like are not serving a greater purpose to helping you get to where you want to go. You want to take out the critics and instead find the cheerleaders. You want the people that just want better for you. And they're hard to find. You know, it's no easy task. I'm not going to say it's as simple as like, hey, you know, just go out and start talking to people and find some. It's not that simple. But the best way that you can approach this is just learning to identify the types that are the opposite, the critics, the people that just want to pull you down. And when you get these people out of your life, it will make it much, much easier for you to navigate. It'll make you think more clearly. It'll free up some mental headspace. It'll relieve some stress, and it will help you make decisions that are more linked to your own purpose and your own sense of identity and who you want to be and what your goals and ambitions are, opposed to just being reactive to the people around you. Because it's hard to think clearly when you have these people in your life that are very toxic to you, you know, that very much try to pull you off of your path. And like I said, you're not going to avoid them, but you can learn to identify them, so when they start showing you signs, you can get them out of your life as quick as possible. And one thing that really helped me reinforce this, you know, I've been a coach and a trainer for 12 years. I recently stopped in-person training. But what I've learned by being able to interact with people in one-on-one settings for extended periods of time is you need to learn to identify very specific traits in people. You know, they surface as things that maybe you just dismiss, you know. Maybe they conceal them very well and they're hard to identify because you're not trained to do so. You know, like I want you to think about like a consultant in a business. Maybe they're more trained than you are to spot the problems because they have a more objective view. They have a more bird's eye view of your business because you're right next to it. When they could come in and say, hey, that is the actual problem, you just can't see it because you're so entangled and emotionally invested into it that it's hard to identify. The same thing can happen with people. If you're really emotionally connected with them, even if it's through anger, it's not even a positive emotion. It can be very difficult to identify that they're bad for you, right? Because anger is still an attachment. You know, if you're like, I hate this person, right? They're a piece of shit. They're my enemy. Well, then you're still attached to them in some way and they're taking up some of your emotional energy. And that's extra baggage you just don't need to carry. So through working with people one-on-one, it allowed me to be able to see this. Now, maybe that's not the case for you. Maybe you're not somebody who has this ability to work with people in a one-on-one intimate setting and have long and intimate conversations with them over a period of time. So how can you train yourself? Well, you could be observant, you know, just try to remove your judgments, try to remove the filters and lenses that you put over yourself that you've learned in life that have been conditioned into your head to view the world. You know, like maybe not everything that you see is bad. Maybe you can view it objectively and just say, well, what is the interpretation of it to me? And what is the interpretation of it to that person? You know, the best way I can explain this is if like you see like a 6 on the ground, right? You and somebody else are standing on opposite sides. The symbol of a 6 is on the ground. You're going to see a 6. But the person on the opposite side of you is going to see a 9. It's a difference of perspective. The symbol hasn't changed, but the perspective has. So it can be very difficult for you to be objective about some of these emotionally engaging situations and sometimes like see what's right and wrong because you put lenses of your perspective on these issues and on these problems and on these people. So you need to learn to be more objective about it, be more rational, pull yourself out of the situation. Don't be reactive, instead respond. So that is my 2 cents for today, my friend. My battery is about to die. Make sure you educate yourself. Read Robert Greene's book, The Laws of Human Nature, and thank me later. Thanks for watching, brother. I'll see you on the next one.